Alrighty, thank you everyone for tuning in. I hope you guys can hear me. And yeah, here we are. We are 30 minutes away from the start of free practice 3 here in Singapore. There's been quite a bit of action overnight. Well, I wouldn't say action, I would say rain. There's been quite a bit of rain that's happened, that's fell overnight in Singapore, so the circuit will be will be in a green condition, quote unquote. That just means all of the rubber that was laid down in the first two practice sessions yesterday, that has all been wiped straight off the circuit, so we'll be starting with a fresh slate once again. It is not currently raining at this moment in time in Singapore. However, there is rain forecast that could potentially hit in qualifying. It could hit after qualifying, but we shall wait and find out. Yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in. Hello, Stefan and Ryan and Mortana007 and Ollie. Yeah, currently on the screen we've got the free practice 2 timings, and of course, yeah, the data's frozen as the drivers were just coming into the pits. But yeah, it looks like the Ferraris are really quick this weekend. The same can be said for the McLarens. Red Bull's still struggling a little bit as they were last year around Singapore, and both Mercedes drivers weren't that quick, especially Hamilton. He was struggling from quite a lot of traction issues for him. So yeah, they will have to be resolved. They probably will be resolved at this point in time. Mercedes are pretty good with making a bunch of setup tweaks overnight between a Friday and a Saturday. They will have had one of their test drivers driving in the simulator all night long, getting a grip of what to change with the setup. So the car's quick once again. Right. Hello, the Skylar, and AS Porsche and Arnav Malik. Alright, wow, we've already got quite a few people tuned in, 350 people, thank you everyone for tuning in. Folks, if you haven't hit the like button, please be sure to do so, it massively helps out the channel, especially at the start of the live stream, really does help out, it essentially just tells YouTube, oh, this is a really good live stream, and then more people come along to watch. So I shall run through a bit of the practice debrief data that we do have, which team is the quickest according to the sims in FP1 and in FP2. Of course, this isn't the most accurate data in the world, but nonetheless, it is something to go off, and it's reasonably accurate. Sometimes, well, I wouldn't say reasonably accurate. It gives us an approximate feel from where the teams are, and for some reason I cannot find the practice debrief. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Okay. So we have got if we look at the qualifying simulations pace, McLaren and Ferrari, yeah, they look to be the two fastest teams, and then the second and third and the fourth fastest teams are Red Bull and Mercedes. There's a step behind. Mercedes were struggling quite a lot with issues, so yeah, I feel like Mercedes will catch up, and Red Bull as well. They've still got to make some setup tweaks to their car, and they should be good as well. Of course, we saw last weekend out in Baku, the car was in a pretty decent state in FP3 for Max Verstappen. However, they made some setup tweaks, and that took the car in the wrong direction, and it wasn't that stable in quali. It wasn't that stable in the race for Max. So yeah, the Red Bull car, while it is a lot more drivable, it is still a bit of a knife edge in terms of the setup, and the drivers and the teams do have to work together properly to get that right. So yeah, we'll see what the car looks like at the end of this FP3 session. Well, at the start and the end, and we'll see what will happen. All right. Sadly, rain is not expected today or tomorrow, but Singapore weather is very unpredictable during this time of the year. So, yeah, this is the thing. I have a friend from Singapore, and he was telling me that it has rained around about the same time as quali, for the past 3 or 4 days now. So yeah, we shall. I'll check the forecast once again of what it says in the Marina Bay area, but I think we'll just have to wait and see what actually happens when quali rolls around, rather than checking the forecast constantly, because it is sort of the rainy season in Singapore, and it is unpredictable when these thunderstorms come about. So we shall see. Hope you're feeling better than yesterday. Yeah, I'm feeling quite a bit better. So thanks for asking. Alright, so the weather in Marina Bay. It says that it is currently raining now. Oh no, it says that it's forecast to rain later. It's forecast to rain later in the day. So yeah, but it's not forecast to rain for quali. We'll see. It depends on what happens. And once again for tomorrow, it's just a constant 10% chance of rain tomorrow. So Yeah, we shall. We'll we'll find out what happens. But as even if we don't have rain, with four teams so close to each other, and we have four DRS zones this weekend as well, we are going to have a lot of good racing. Even though it is a street circuit, it is Singapore, which is historically not been the best circuit for overtaking. I think I think the extra DRS zone that the teams have, and also the fact that all of the teams are so close together in performance, we should have some fantastic racing. Yeah, the yellow flag is just from yesterday. I'll refresh the data once we are 10 minutes away from the start of quali. That's usually when it starts coming through. Otherwise, if I refresh it now, then the screen will just go black. How do you feel about Bottas basically retaining his seat? I think Hülkenberg and Bottas would be a very strong lineup. Yeah, it would be. Hülkenberg and Bottas would be a fantastic lineup for the Audi team. However, I don't know how much money Audi are. Audi is of course a very big company, and they're of course part of the Volkswagen Group. Well, actually, I'm not sure if they're part of the Volkswagen Group, but nonetheless, Audi have a lot of money to throw around, right? And the question is, how much are they throwing into Formula One? Are they going all the way to the budget cap? Are they going to test the waters a little bit and then decide to spend more money? Because if they have a limited budget, signing Valtteri Bottas out of that limited budget will be fairly difficult compared to, say, signing Franco Colapinto, who could sign for essentially pennies compared to Valtteri Bottas, and still get a fairly decent performance out of him. So only time will tell what Audi do, but I would, if I was Audi and I was genuinely considering, all right, I want to make my mark in Formula One, and I want to do some, I want to do some things that are really good for the sport, and we're going to get right to the top of the pack, then I would be asking for as much budget as the budget cap allows, and then signing Valtteri Bottas as one of your drivers, because that is going to, it's going to propel your development so far up the pack by having two very good drivers like Bottas and Hülkenberg. So, yeah. All right, VAG, Volkswagen Audi Group. So, yeah, Seat, Skoda, Lamborghini, Bugatti, Bentley. All right, yeah. Well, that makes sense then. So Volkswagen and Audi, they have a lot of money to throw around. Of course, Volkswagen doesn't do that much racing things, but Audi does, and so does Porsche. To be fair, Lamborghini does as well. But I think, yeah, Audi could throw around a lot of money, and yeah. What the hell is an orange flag? Oh, the orange flag is it's double yellows. There's just no clearer way to put double yellows rather than showing orange colours. So yeah, when the session ended, there were double yellows at turn number 8 because George Russell had damaged his front wing, and he had left his front wing at turn number 8. That's why there were double yellows, and then of course there were yellow flags just before that, telling the drivers to slow down. Right, when will Q1 start? Well, Q1 itself is part of qualifying, of course, and that will be starting in 4 hours' time. Currently, we will have practice starting in 20 minutes, 1 hour of practice, and then we'll have qualifying after that. All right. Oh wow! Already 650 people tuned in. Thank you very much for all the support, folks. Yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying the coverage. So I'll continue running through the simulation data, and it looks like the Williams seem to be the 5th fastest team. They have really made leaps and bounds of progress. They brought the biggest upgrade package they had at Zandvoort, but then they did have a couple of issues at Zandvoort. Of course, Logan Sargent crashed, damaging the car quite significantly, and then also their car was deemed illegal by the FIA because the way that they were measuring things was slightly different to the way the FIA were measuring things, and they ended up getting disqualified because of that in Zandvoort. So to revert back to the old spec, they made the changes. The car is now looking a lot better, and this weekend they've got some new front suspension tweaks as well. They're not that major, but nonetheless they will be contributing to the performance of the car. And only Albon's got those upgrades. Colapinto has not got those upgrades. That might just be an issue with Williams being constantly on the back foot, having to manufacture more and more new parts every time Sargent or Albon crash the car. Yeah. Alright, what's wrong with the live timing? Nothing, it's just the live timing from free practice 2. I'll put the free practice 3 timings up later on, once we're closer to the start of the session. Alright, so if we look at the what was I going to say? Oh yeah, if we look at the comparison for all of the teams compared to the McLarens in the slow speed, Ferrari are right there, able to compete in the slow speed corners. So are Mercedes, but then everyone else, including Red Bull, are significant margins off. You know, they're 3, 4, 5 tenths of a second off competing in the slow speed. So yeah, Red Bull are lacking quite a bit of pace, and well, they're making it up in other parts of the track, but the question remains is how well will they be able to do in the race? If they don't have slow speed grip, then their tyres will start wearing out a little bit more, and well, there'll be a whole sort of another issues with that. So they'll really have to work on that setup, and they probably will have worked over the setup overnight, and they should be good for free practice 3. Is this free practice 3 up coming up? Indeed it is. 19 minutes now till free practice 3 is underway. Alright, if we have a look at the race pace simulations, McLaren and Ferrari within a tenth of each other, and then Mercedes are far back, but of course that's because of their issues that they were having with Hamilton and Russell, and then Red Bull are also 2 tenths back, so we shall see. Williams and Racing Bulls are looking very, very quick this weekend. A bit of a surprise, honestly. Racing Bulls have been struggling quite a bit in the previous couple of weekends. They've been getting knocked out of Q1 and things like that. But this weekend, looking mightily strong both for Tsunoda and Ricciardo. There are, of course, rumours that we could have Ricciardo replaced by the end of this race. We could have him replaced by the end of the season by Liam Lawson. We'll wait and see what they do. Will it be... will Liam Lawson take his spot for the US Grand Prix and Ricciardo's out the seat halfway through the season, or will it be to the end? We'll just have to wait and find out. Can you do a who will win poll? I'll probably do that later on. We'll wait for a couple more people to tune in, and then I'll do the poll. What's the time in your country? The time in my country in the UK is 12 minutes past 10 o'clock. So 10:12. That's what the time is. But it doesn't really matter what the time is in my country. We know that free practice 3 is starting in 17 minutes anywhere around the world. And quali after free practice 3, that is correct. We'll have qualifying, I think, an hour and a half or 2 hours after free practice 3 finishes. Was the predicted rain before or after quali? The predicted rain is after quali, unfortunately. So we'll see if that rolls around a little bit earlier, but there's no promises as of now. I'd like to see Lawson in the back of that car. I've had enough of watching Ricciardo's lack of talent. Well, that's a pretty savage way to put it, but Daniel Ricciardo, he has been given quite a few opportunities and he's been given loads of chances to deliver, and unfortunately he hasn't delivered anything exceptional that you would have hoped of Daniel Ricciardo. He hasn't been able to compete with Yuki Tsunoda all that well. Sometimes he has been out qualifying, sometimes he hasn't, but yeah, things haven't been working out all that well for Danny Rick, and that might just be the end of his career. We'll have to wait and see. Latest weather forecast is no rain for qualifying in the race. Yeah, that is the latest weather forecast. Of course, these things, especially in Singapore, they aren't the most accurate things in the world. So we shall wait and see whether we do get some rain. Because I know someone that lives in Singapore, and they told me that the weather is it's been raining for the past 3 or 4 days at the same time as quali. So it could happen today. Yeah. Do you think Red Bull and RB and Williams will outqualify the Red Bull and the Mercs? I think that's a little bit unrealistic. Red Bull and the Williams is doing well. However, if the Mercedes can't fix their issues, then there's a chance that they can get outqualified by the Williams. But I do think Mercedes will have their issues fixed come the start of the session. So yeah, it should be fine. Has there ever been a night race where it's rained? Yeah, it's rained at Singapore before in the past. We've had rain in 2017. I think we had rain in another race after that. I can't remember exactly which one. It does skip my mind, but we have had rain at Singapore. Which other night races have we had? We've had night races at Bahrain and in Saudi Arabia. Those are deserts, so it's pretty unlikely that there's been rain there. Unlikely that we've had rain in Abu Dhabi. Where else do we have night races? Las Vegas. Well, I don't know. Las Vegas is also in the middle of a desert, I'm pretty sure. So, yeah. Oh, you got an advert. Let me just block those adverts. There you go. Thanks for letting me know. All right. 50 degrees centigrade in the cockpit, nice and toasty indeed. Yeah, I'm sure the drivers will like some rain actually. Of course, when it is raining, the drivers do require more focus, but the flip side of that is that the drivers are going at slightly slower speeds, and the G forces are much less on them. So it isn't as physical. But we'll wait and find out. Is it a wet track for FP3? I do not think so. Yeah, it looks like it should be dry for FP3. Yeah, that's what it looks like. And there are clouds outside, but they don't look like the kind of clouds that it will be raining very, very hard. Okay, 13 minutes now till we get underway for the session. All of the mechanics now just bolting on the final couple of parts, bolting on the front wings, changing a couple of suspension settings here and there, and after all of the setup tweaks they've done overnight, and then they should be good to go for the start of practice. All right. I think the Malaysian F1 race 1 year after the first lap there was a monsoon rain out of nowhere. Yeah, that could happen. I think it was in the 2010s, maybe 2012. I'm not sure. But yeah, one of those years there was super heavy rain and it just came out of nowhere, and then they red flagged the session. I think they red flagged it. Yeah. All right. How do you know what happened to the Mercedes racing qualifying pace? How do you know what happened to? Oh, some people analyze the data, and I'm just having a look through what they analyzed. So that's how I know that the pace for the Mercedes is a little bit bad. And I was watching the onboards yesterday. Hamilton was really struggling for traction, so I think that kind of explains it, to be honest. All right. Oh, wow. We've already got 1,000 people tuned in. We are 12 minutes away from the start of the practice session. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, folks. Yeah, we'll be underway very, very shortly with the drivers coming out onto the circuit. All right. Let's see. Franco Colapinto will be getting the upgrades next race. Yeah, he will. The Williams, they do have a couple of these problems. We've seen this quite often. They always bring upgrades. Well, there is a sort of strategic element to it that you do want to bring one upgrade package for one driver and not an upgrade package for another driver, which kind of means that you can compare. You can see, is this upgrade package helping the drag? Is it helping the downforce? In the exact same situations, because of course when you're driving around, say you go from one race to the next, so you're driving around at Spa and then you bring an upgrade package at Monza, the conditions are ever so slightly different, and when you're looking at upgrades like that, the differences can be very, very minute. So if the conditions are slightly different, you can't get an accurate read on whether the upgrades are actually helping or not. And because of that, sometimes the teams do opt, especially in the practice sessions, to run one car with the upgrades, one car without the upgrades, to get a feel for how the cars are. Well, to get a feel for if the upgrade packages are working. Yeah, don't know how I fumbled my words so badly there. All right. Right. Tougher to be a Valtteri Bottas fan, only hoping for a reigning hauler. Yeah, Bottas, it's unfortunate. I think if he can get a seat in Audi, that would be fantastic for him. But he's a very talented driver, and he should be in Formula One. He's competed alongside Lewis Hamilton. He's beat him in qualifying at times. He's beat him in races at times, and he's a fantastic driver. Hugely consistent as well, and And yeah, it'll be sad to see him go. But I think Audi would be, you know, out of their minds if they aren't siding with Valtteri Bottas. It's yeah. All right, we're gonna watch the Qatar GP 2023. Well, there's a stream up on my channel for the 2023 Qatar Grand Prix. So if you want to watch that, then go ahead. So is rain expected in quali? Unfortunately not. The forecast is saying that there isn't. However, local experience suggests that there may be rain. Yeah, I cannot tell you for sure. Only time will tell. Are the cars in Parc Fermé when they start quali, or can they still change setup during quali? No, they are in Parc Fermé when they start qualifying. So the only thing they can change once qualifying has begun is front wing angle. That's the only thing they can change. How much angle there is on the front wing flaps, and apart from that, everything else has to be the same in from the start of quali. Otherwise, you know, if they do want to make some changes, they can, but they have to start from the pit lane. Alright, can they change the transmission and differential? Yeah, they can change the diff settings, sorry. But I kind of thought that was implied. But yeah, they can change the diff settings, the brake balance, and then obviously all of the engine modes and the sensors and things like that. They can change all of those things. Anything that you can change from the steering wheel is allowed. But in terms of mechanical changes that they can only make to... that the mechanics have to make, the only thing that they're allowed to change is the front wing itself. Alright then, folks, 8 minutes now till we get underway for the start of FP3. Do you think Paris might win a race this season? Well, it's going to be tough. The Red Bull is looking stronger and stronger. This is, of course, a street circuit. Sergio Perez is pretty good at street circuits, so he may have a chance this weekend, but... yeah, only his qualifying will dictate if he wins the race or not. And... options are running out for Red Bull. All of the teams are getting quicker. Red Bull are still a little bit on the back foot. So we shall see. We shall see what they are if Paris can win a race. It'd be great if you can. That would be 8 race winners in a single season. That'd be fantastic. But yeah, it's an uphill battle for Sergio Perez. Here we've got Fernando Alonso just getting inside the car now. 7 minutes to go for practice. The drivers are getting ready. They'll be going straight out onto the circuit. And, yeah. All right, do you think Newey to Aston Martin might put them competitors spot with Williams and Red Bull, Mercedes and Ferrari next season? With Red Bull, Mercedes and Ferrari next season, or are people blowing it out of the water? Well, this is the thing with Adrian Newey. If you actually had a look at his contract, he's not allowed to start working for the Aston Martin team until the 1st of March 2025. So Adrian Newey, so the development for the 2026 car is only allowed to start in 2025. So the 1st of January, that is when you can start all of your designs for the 2026 car. But Adrian Newey only starts working from the 1st of March. By that point, the season has already started. The drivers have done for pre-season testing. They've done the first race of the season as well. And then Adrian Newey starts working for Aston Martin. So it is highly unlikely that Adrian Newey will be tasked with anything other than developing the 2026 car. You know, maybe he'll have a look over the upgrades they're making for the 2025 car. But Aston Martin, as soon as they're allowed to start developing the 2026 car, they will be going all guns blazing for that, because they know in 2025 it's highly unlikely that, you know, even if Adrian Newey comes to the team and he comes up with a revolutionary design, the thing is that revolutionary design is only going to last for 1 year, and then everything is going to have to be changed all over again, which means that they're much better off in the long term to just go with, you know, sacrifice the 2025 season, get all of the expertise and the time and the engineering from Adrian Newey that you can, and then going into 2026 they will have they'll have a fantastic car, hopefully. So I think that would be the ideal plan for Aston Martin. There's no point kind of wasting development time in 2025 for the 2025 car, because by the end of that season, that car's going back into the garage and never being used again. Whereas the 2026 car will be used in 2027, 2028, 2029. Because they're going to build off that. They're going to build off that chassis essentially. All right. 1st of March 2025 threw me off there because for a second I forgot it's 2024 and not 2023. Yeah, no, I mean, time has been going pretty quick, and it happens quite often, actually. I mean, we are, what, like 3 months away from the start of 2025, which is pretty wild. You know, I've only started to come to terms with the fact that 2024 has just begun, and here 2025 is only 3 months away. So, yeah. Maybe it would be good if Aston Martin does not end up too high in the constructors to get more wind tunnel time. Yeah, the wind tunnel time will of course be a concern, but it isn't that significant, the wind tunnel time difference between, say, 4th and 5th position. But the bonus between 4th and 5th position is probably around £5 or £6 million, or 5 and 6 million euros, or something like that. So they could probably take it. Yeah, we'll see. Is it quali sims or race sims now? It will most likely be it'll be race sims at the start of the session, I think, and then quali sims as we get towards the end of the session. Just developing a car, spending so much just for Stroll to crash it into pieces. Well, I think Stroll will probably he'll probably be careful not to crash the car. And of course, all of the drivers are a lot more cautious with these kind of things now. Introducing the budget cap now means that the drivers, every single crash that they do have and every single sort of risky overtake they do make, there is a chance that they crash the car and then have to pay millions to repair it all. And that's millions away from development costs, really. Yeah. All right. How long after FP3 until quali? Well, qualifying starts in 3.5 hours, and yeah, qualifying starts in 3.5 hours, and practice is starting in practice will be 1 hour, so 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours after the end of FP3 will we have quali. Oh yeah, let me just update the screen. I totally forgot about that. There we go. It should appear in just a second there. That's just flash. It should be back. All right, there we go. That's the new data for today. All the drivers sat in the pits as we are now approaching Singapore for round number 18 of the Formula One season. We are 3/4 of the way through, 18 out of 24, as we go to the Marina Bay Street Circuit in Singapore. It has been a great circuit for Formula One all of these years. Here we are in free practice 3. The sun is not shining, the clouds are out. Track temperature is 37 degrees, air temperature is 29 degrees. And no rain currently. It is quite cloudy though, and humidity is high. The wind is blowing from the northwest direction, and yeah, we'll see. All right, we'll see what happens in practice, but not long till we have the drivers exiting the pit lane. How is the track evolution here? Well, the track evolution is going to be very, very strong, folks, because I have a little bit of news for you. It did rain overnight. It rained overnight after the end of free practice 2. It started raining quite heavily in Singapore, and because of that, all of the rubber that was laid down in the free practice 1 session, the free practice 2 session, all of that was totally wiped away. All of that rubber has gone, down the drain essentially, and the surface is totally green again. There's going to be a bit of dust here and there, and the drivers will have to once again lay the rubber down onto the circuit before they can really start increasing the grip levels on the track. So yeah, I'll expect lap times to be quite high at the start of the session, but track evolution will be fairly significant as the circuit has been sort of cleaned up by the rain overnight. Right then, let's I might as well just get rid of this timer here on the right hand side of the screen. There we go. All right. 1,800 people tuned in. That is fantastic, folks. Appreciate everyone tuning in, by the way. Hope you guys do enjoy the coverage. Of course, I think in practice there's I think the streams are much more like a podcast than they are sort of a watch along, because there isn't all that much action going on the circuit. But we'll wait and see what happens. I mean, we haven't had a single red flag actually. It's been a bit surprising. I would have expected some red flags and things like that, but absolutely nothing for in terms of red flags and things like that. So it's been interesting. Maybe we'll see a red flag in today's practice session. All right, once again, having a talk about the Constructors' Championship, we have got McLaren. They are 20 points ahead of Red Bull. So for the first time since 2014, McLaren are leading the Constructors' Championship, which is a very, very long time. 10 years, in fact. So yeah, it's been a while since McLaren have been up at the top, but now they are once again leading constructors. Ferrari are nipping at the heels of Red Bull, so there's a chance that Ferrari actually lose the... Red Bull actually lose the second place spot in the Constructors' Championship to Red Bull. Red Bull lose it to Ferrari. Sorry, I just said Red Bull will lose the championship to Red Bull, which obviously makes no sense. But yeah, Ferrari is very close. And we shall see what they can do. The Ferrari's looking extremely quick as well. Sainz was suffering with some brake issues yesterday, but still managed to go very quick. And still, he was, I think, third in FP3, and he was very competitive. He did have a couple of issues at turn number 16, I think, once locking up and once having to spin around, but it was all right in the long run. All right, I'm going to have a quick sip of water. I'll be back in a second. Do you think Hamilton can actually get his 8th? Well, that's a very interesting question. And Ferrari have been doing very, very well in the past couple of races, and they've been looking mightily strong. And 2025 should be a good year for them. You know, if it continues as it's going right now, the car should be getting quicker and quicker, and they'll be competing with McLaren and Red Bull and Mercedes for the World Drivers' Championship, for the World Constructors' Championship. And let's just put it this way: Hamilton going to Ferrari, is going to give him a pretty good chance at winning this constructors. So winning the drivers. So it all depends on the 2025 car for Ferrari. If the 2025 car is good, then Hamilton can win. If not, then it's going to be a long season for Lewis Hamilton. F1 Gamer, would Max ever beat Hamilton and Schumacher's record? Well, I know this is a very difficult question to answer, to be honest, because in the same way that I can't really predict if Hamilton's going to be up there at the top. This is the thing, Fernando Alonso is a fantastic driver, but he's only got 2 world championships to his name. If you ask people now, many of them would say Fernando Alonso is right up there with Lewis Hamilton. He's right up there with Max Verstappen, but he just doesn't have the titles to show it, and he doesn't have the titles to show it because he was at the wrong team at the wrong time in his career, and he couldn't deliver with the team. Well, the team couldn't deliver for him, really. Fernando Alonso was quick, but the teams weren't giving him a quick enough car to win championships. So the question of will Max be able to equal the record of Schumacher and Hamilton really decides on the fact, will the team be able to give him a competitive enough car? It doesn't have to be the most dominant car ever. Even if Max was, say, in the Ferrari or in the McLaren, I think he would have... because he's such a good driver, I think he'd have an edge of maybe a 10th or a 2/10 over everyone else, and then he'll be able to win the championship. So, it's a tough question to answer. I would say that if they make the correct career decisions, if Verstappen moves to the team that's going to be the fastest in 2026, maybe that's Aston Martin, then we could see Verstappen win the World Drivers' Championship. Who knows? Ooh, there's a lizard on the track. There's a lizard on the circuit at turn number 1. I'm sure it'll get out of the way by the time Fernando Alonso and Lance Stroll make their way around. But all of the other drivers sat in the garage, and well, it's a bit annoying here. all of the drivers are sat in the garage, and the reason for that is that the circuit is a lot slipperier than before. Yeah, there's a lizard on the track at turn number 18 and 19. They're going to have to clear that up. But essentially, the circuit's quite dirty compared to all of... what was I going to say? The circuit's quite dirty compared to yesterday, and they just want other drivers to clean up the circuit for them. But, yeah, it looks like nobody's going to stay out on the circuit. We'll see. Steady on the way in. Yeah, Lance and Fernando, both of them are boxing into the pits. Yeah. Are the people in the pits waiting for track evolution? That is exactly what they're doing. They are waiting for the circuit to get stronger and faster. But the only way it will get stronger and faster if there are people driving around. So yeah, they're in a bit of a catch-22. So we shall see what they do. Yeah, the lizard is still on the circuit. It really looks like, honestly, if you made the lizard, say, like 10 times bigger, you could pass it off as a dinosaur. It very much does look like that, and it's just crawling its way around the circuit. Well, not crawling away, it's just waddling around the circuit, to be honest. Alex Albon there looking at the cameras, giving us a nice smile. And Alonso and Stroll are once again back out onto the circuit, this time on a set of hard tyres rather than a set of mediums. All right. Congrats on 100k. Thank you very much. It's Godzilla, indeed it is. I remember that. I think it was it Max or it was Ricciardo that said that over the radio a couple of years ago at Singapore. Let's see. Do you see yourself becoming an official F1 commentator someday? Well, honestly, it would be fantastic if I could be an official F1 commentator someday. I don't know if... well, I don't know who's going to hire me, really. Sky Sports, maybe? But... yeah, Sky Sports, F1 TV, they've already got their fair share of commentators. Maybe I start commentating Formula 3 and then go to Formula 2 and then go to Formula 1 like, like all of the drivers. Yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting for sure. I'd have to get some contacts going though if I was to be a Formula official F1 driver, F1 commentator. Sorry, not driver. All right. Yeah, if you look at all of these radio messages here from the teams, you can see what they're doing is they are doing some high speed, straight line speed runs here. So what they're doing is, Fernando, if you look at a couple of the radio messages, what they do is to analyze the sort of grip levels, and not even the grip levels, the downforce levels on the car, is they set up all the sensors right in the suspension, because you can tell from the suspension how much the suspension gets squeezed down. You can tell how much downforce there is. So what the teams do is they tell the drivers to drive at 100 miles per hour or 100 kilometers per hour, and they set that up on their steering wheel, and then they open the DRS flap or close the DRS flap, and what they do is they look at the suspension sensors and they work out how much the suspension has been compressed, and because of that they can figure out how much downforce they're generating. It's quite interesting, isn't it? Alright, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, the Aston Martins once again coming out on a set of medium tyres this time, and what Aston Martin are doing now, all they're doing is scrubbing the set of tyres. You've seen this potentially from the... You've seen this maybe on the team radios here on the right, but what they're doing is in the slow speed, they're driving around, scrubbing the tyres a little bit, getting them worn out slightly, because Aston Martin think there's a slight advantage in wearing out those tyres for just one lap, letting them cool down a bit, and then going out and doing another lap. So, yeah, it's interesting what Aston Martin, they think that this works for their strategy. Maybe it does, and it helps them with the long-term tyre wear, but... who knows? who knows if it actually does work, because none of the other teams do it, and they will have experimented with it. They would have tested it out, see if they think it works, because if it does work, even if it's a 1% or a 2% gain in terms of tire wear or something like that. Oh, they've just called out a red flag. They've just called out the red flag because the lizard's on the circuit. One of the marshals is going to go have to scare the lizard off the side of the track. The red flag is deployed because there's a lizard on the track. Yeah, it's still just waddling around on the circuit. I mean, I'm sure the lizard's very confused, like, why are there no cars here? Why are there no people? But there's also no food for the lizard. It's just walking around. All right. Godzilla is back indeed. And I suspect for the lizard, they're just going to switch it onto the safety car mode for both Alonso and Stroll. Everyone on the pit wall is having a bit of a laugh that they've just got a session red flag because of a lizard. That being said, all of the drivers were looking to get ready to go now. I think the Ferraris were getting ready to go out. Albon was getting ready to go out. But that's going to all be delayed by at least 5 minutes or so before they get a marshal out onto the circuit to scare away the lizard. Right, there we go. The marshals have scared the lizard away. It's now running away, but oh my god, the lizard looks pretty funny, I'm not going to lie. You'll have to watch a replay of this on Twitter or something. But the lizard is running really quick, and and it's still not getting off the circuit. It's going on the racing line, mate. The lizard knows what's up, and it's taking the racing line. I think the marshals just tried to slide tackle the lizard. Oh, this is oh wow. All right. Yeah, the marshals just tried to slide tackle the lizard here. Interesting. Right, we should have the red flag being taken off the circuit very, very shortly now. Let's just wait a second. Daniel Ricciardo getting into the car as well. He'll be putting his helmet and balaclava on, and his gloves, and he should be coming out soon as well once the red flag is gone. The lizard is faster than Stroll indeed. I mean, it's taken the racing line, which was quite interesting. But no, I think the marshals have finally got it, and yeah, we're now just waiting for the message from race control for them to green flag the session again. There we go. The track is clear. The red flag is out, and the session is restarting. The session's in fact already restarted. Or the session will restart in 20 seconds or so. So the drivers will be coming out of the pit lane soon enough. How many animals are there in Formula One? There's groundhogs, lizards, birds. What else was the other animal? I think it was 2017 in Canada. It was Seb Vettel was braking for the animals, and Lewis Hamilton wasn't. Something along those lines. But yeah, anyway, we've got once again drivers, all of them now coming out of the out of the garage, and we're finally going to have some more. We're going to have some more running around the circuit. It's good. Brilliant. All right, thank you everyone for tuning in. By the way, we got 3,000 people tuned in. I hope you guys are enjoying the coverage and the live updates on the lizard situation. But yeah, now we've finally got drivers out on the track. Bottas out on a set of softs actually. But I suspect we'll be seeing some long runs from these drivers now. There'll be it was pigeons in 2017 in Canada. Of course, bulls, the Red Bulls. Lewis Hamilton's dogs. I guess that's part of Formula 1. Alex Albon's cats. But anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, we're going to probably see some long runs at the start of this session for the circuit to start off grip up sort of, and then by the end of FP3 we'll get some qualifying sims. But yes, the first 30 minutes or so. Well, we've already had first 15 minutes, so the next 20 minutes or so will be long runs, and then the drivers will come in, put on some softs, and start doing some qualifying simulations. All right. What else have we got going on? Also, folks, if you are enjoying the coverage, be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. Massively helps out the channel. And yeah. All right. Let's have a look at these team radios. Nothing out of the ordinary. I will be keeping an eye on the Mercedes, seeing if their setup has improved. They were having quite a few issues with the setup yesterday, but we'll see if Hamilton's a little bit better on the traction, and we'll see if George Russell is the same as well. Bottas 289 kilometers per hour through the speed trap. Their first driver to actually go through the speed trap. And he's starting his hot lap. So let's keep on board with Valtteri Bottas. He goes through turn number 5. Nicely done there from Bottas, going very, very close to the wall now. As he goes through the kink of the road, minimises the distance that he travels, then onto the brakes as he goes towards turn number 7. Very, very late on the brakes, manages to stay inside the curbs. If you do mount those curbs, it is quite dangerous. You do lose quite a bit of time as well. So the drivers do their best to avoid that, and then they make their way through a couple of 90-degree corners through now turn number 9. Russell gets out of the way nicely, and Bottas into the braking zone of turn number 10. The circuit gets very narrow at this point, and turn number 13, probably the trickiest corner out of all of them, because you are turning just before you hit the brakes, and your front right tyre has no load on it whatsoever, which means that locking up is quite easy. But Bottas doesn't lock up. He goes through turn number 14. He's using DRS as well, I think, as he goes through all of these parts of the circuit. And yeah, DRS now through towards turn number 16, and makes his way through that final chicane, and now just the penultimate corner of the circuit. He comes across the start-finish line, and it's going to be a 1 minute 34.5 for Valtteri Bottas. Very nice. And now we have the rest of the drivers coming across the line as well. Ocon and Gasly are 134s and 135s. Stroll are 134.1 on a set of mediums. Actually, he goes 4/10 quicker than Bottas, and he's on slower tyres. But now we have Sainz coming across the line and Leclerc as well. All right, Sainz across the line, second place. Alonso across the line, 133.3. Wow, he's 8/10 quicker than his teammate. Must have made a mistake there from Stroll, because 8/10 is normally not the difference between those two drivers. Sainz is quickest in the final sector. Leclerc, though, quickest overall, and not overall. He's quicker than the other Ferrari driver, but Fernando Alonso is currently on the top. Piastri's quickest in the middle sector. He's looking rather racy in that McLaren today, and he's got an open track ahead of him. Tsunoda across the line, second place for him. And yeah, Piastri is just coming out the final corner now, and things seem to be going well. Oh my god, we've got a load of team radios coming through, and this is kind of what you see at Singapore. Piastri across the line at 132.9. The circuit is rapidly getting quicker, folks. As every single lap that goes by, there is more and more rubber getting deposited on the racing line, and because of that, the circuit's going to be getting a lot quicker. Ocon over the radio saying very bad instability turning into turn number 1. So yeah, that's going to have to be resolved, because that's instability on the brakes, and that's something that you definitely don't want. And yeah, both Merck's second and third position for them. Hamilton only 2/10 back from Russell, so it's some good signs at the start of this free practice session for Lewis Hamilton. Verstappen currently in 14th position, not setting a lap. He starts his flying lap. He's 2:99 through the speed traps. He's 10 kilometers an hour quicker than Bottas through the speed traps there. Looks like the Sauber really wasn't turned up to the max. But Verstappen is using DRS on this lap now as he goes through turn number 6. Lewis Hamilton gets out of the way nicely, and Verstappen 4/10 up just in the first sector alone compared to Oscar Piastri. The car is looking much better in the hands of Verstappen today, and it's looking very stable as well. Verstappen able to push the car, go very close to the barriers as well, and he manages to Well, he's a half a second up nearly on in the first sector, and we'll see what he can do in the middle sectors now. Norris, he goes marginally ahead of his teammate by half a tenth, but Verstappen is looking very, very quick. Look at that, all purple mini sectors for Max Verstappen there in the middle sector. Very quick indeed. Lando Norris is actually taking those purple mini sectors away from him. Norris is looking quicker than Verstappen in the middle sector, but nonetheless, Verstappen improves in the middle sector, and everyone will be improving. The circuit is just massively getting quicker, and because of that, the drivers are getting the lap times are tumbling essentially. All right, Sainz and Leclerc start their flying lap. Leclerc gives Verstappen a little bit of a tow as he comes across the line, and he's a second quicker than the competition. Wow, great lap there from Max. All right. And here we go. We have Norris across the line, and it's he's in second position. He goes a quarter of a second back from Max Verstappen. We'll see what Perez can do. That'll give us a bit more accurate of a read of what the Red Bull car is looking like. Sergio Perez is currently in 12th position, but he is not. Actually, he has done a hot lap. Let's have a look at his lap time. 1:34.4. That's probably he's probably made a mistake there, to be honest, if he's that far back from Verstappen. Nico Hulkenberg up into third place, a great lap from him. But of course, folks, this is, once again, it is practice. There's not that much to read into. The circuit is totally... the circuit is just, getting rubbered in at this moment in time. And because of that, the lap times are kind of unpredictable. Oh, Verstappen over the radio. Everyone is just in the way the whole lap. The car is much better, though. This is very good signs from Max Verstappen. He's saying that the car is feeling better. We haven't heard this in a long time. Normally, every time we get a radio message from Verstappen, it's he's just complaining. But all right, we have a look at the radio from Max. He said, yeah, the rear is a little bit better. It's still a little loose on the entries. So Max still does feel the rear can be improved, the stability of the rear end. However, it's looking good at this current moment in time. So he should be fine. Perez across the line, second place for him, and that has been it's clear to see the Red Bull is much quicker this weekend. The car's feeling a lot better. Both drivers are able to drive it, and well, McLaren have got some competition now. All right. What was I going to say? The weather prediction for quali, it looks to be dry. That's what the forecast says. However, according to people who live in Singapore, it has been raining at the same time as qualifying for the past 2 or 3 days. So it may rain once again today. We'll just have to wait and see. Yeah, it might rain after quali. It might be during, but we'll find out. Also, folks, oh wow, we've got 4,200 people tuning in. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. If you are enjoying the coverage, be sure to hit the like button. It massively helps out the channel. And yeah, let's just continue on with what's going on in the session. Russell across the line, 4th place for him. We got K-Mag on a hot lap there. Norris about to start his flying lap. Russell quickest in the middle sector. Nice middle sector from George Russell. K-Mag across the line, 10th place for him. And yeah, all of the drivers now driving around, everyone getting a feel for the car. Why have they sent Colapinto on softs? Williams, what are you doing here, folks? Because sending out your rookie driver at a street circuit on soft tyres as their first laps of the day is suboptimal, to say the least. Gasly got very nearly blocked by one of the Mercs. He got very off put there. I don't know which one of the Mercs it was, but Gasly had to abort his lap because of that. It might have been Russell. Will you post a live for the race too? Yeah, I'll be commentating for the qualifying. I'll be commentating for the race. And yeah, I'll be doing the US Grand Prix, which I think is a sprint weekend. So there'll be sprint races, sprint qualifying, sprint, and then of course the normal races as well. Do you think Red Bull can have a podium? Yeah, well, looking at this pace, Red Bull definitely can have a podium, for sure. Alright, what else have we got going on in the session? The McLarens are on their hot laps here. Verstappen improves, I think. Yeah, Verstappen improved on his second lap. On used tyres by that as well. He did that lap on 4-lap-old medium tyres, but still managed to improve. Purple in the second and the third sector, and it is... and he's half a second ahead of the competition. Norris across the line. He's 4 tenths back from Verstappen. And we'll see what Piastri can do. Piastri starting his flying lap now. There we go. The rain has caused these lap times to be a lot slower than yesterday. So there we are. George Russell's just come over the radio saying, I need a change of gloves for the next stint. I'm not sure exactly what that's for, but nonetheless, yeah, George Russell will be getting a new set of gloves. Yeah, I don't know why they've sent Colapinto out on a fresh set of softs, because... the drivers do need to be, they do need to sort of build up to this. And yes, Colapinto has been building up to, doing quick laps around Singapore all of yesterday, but today he hasn't been doing that much build up, and he's just come out on a set of softs. He's come across the line in 10th position. He is, half a tenth back from his teammate, 1.5 tenths back from his teammate, but yeah, I wouldn't recommend it, because we've seen what can happen before. They did it in Baku. They sent out Colapinto, and he had an incident. We saw Antonelli go straight into hot laps in the Mercedes, and he had some issues as well, and went into crashed into the barriers. So ideally, what I would do is send him out on a long run, and then put him out on some soft tires. But nonetheless, Colapinto's done a good job, and it's 11th place for him. He is on a set of softs. Albon is on a set of mediums, so he's still got a long time to go. They may have just put in some more fuel in the car and told him to build up that way and actually use the softs. That's a pretty wise decision if they have done that. It seems like they probably have, considering his lap times are a chunk slower, given that even though he is on the soft tyres. Alright, 34 minutes remain of this session, and we have got Ricciardo across the line, 14th place for him. Not a massive improvement, and he is a 10th back from his teammate Yuki Tsunoda. And the Williams, the Racing Bulls were looking quick yesterday, but all of that pace seemingly has evaporated. Interesting. Russell quickest in the middle sector there, and he's a tenth and a half. He's half a tenth up, in fact, on Verstappen's time so far. Verstappen, though, does have the fastest final sector as well, so we'll see if George Russell can match that. The Mercedes was looking very well in the hands of George Russell. Ooh, Russell makes a bit of a mistake there, loses the rear end as he goes through the second chicane, and that might cost him the fastest lap. But here he comes across the line nonetheless, and it's second place for him. Not quick enough in the final sector. He lost 2.5 tenths there in the final sector, and that's mainly just down to him having that moment there in the final chicane. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, the Mercedes was looking good in the hands of George Russell yesterday. However, in the hands of Lewis Hamilton, it wasn't that quick. So we'll see if Hamilton can once again get close to George Russell's times. But yeah, George Russell gets extremely sideways as he goes into the penultimate chicane of the circuit at turn number 16, and that's lost him all of his time. We saw, I think Sainz did that yesterday. He went very, very sideways, and then he also ended up locking up. So at turn number 16, not ideal there for Alex Albon. Oh, not ideal there for Carlos Sainz, sorry. Albon, why is he going slow? There seems to be a lot of sparks coming out of his car. Not sure what's going on there with Alex Albon, but he should be fine. Is he in the pits? Yeah, he's in the pits now. Okie dokes. What are the different types of turns? What's a chicane? A chicane is a two sets of two corners followed up very quickly, one after another. One a right-hander, and then the next a left-hander, or a left-hander and then a right-hander. So turn number 16, you turn right first, and then you turn left right after it. Turn number 17, right next to each other. So that's what you would call a chicane. They fixed the rear being loose. Yeah, they did. I think Hamilton was struggling quite a bit with the rear being loose as well. And, they must have fixed it for George Russell. I'm not sure about Lewis Hamilton yet. He's come out on another set of tyres now. Oh, no, he's come out on a used set of mediums, but nonetheless, he can still set a lap on the used set of mediums. Are these times representative for qualifying though, considering Max's time would be P9 when compared to FP2 timings? No, these times are a lot slower than what we saw in FP2 because there was rain overnight, so the circuit got a lot slower. So that's why they aren't representative compared to FP2. However, compared to qualifying, they're the best estimate that we've got, really. I can't say that they're going to be totally accurate, but they're the best estimate that we've got. I don't know why George Russell has... Oh no, George Russell's car's fine now. I don't know why it said stop on the screen momentarily there. But Leclerc, he's a tenth and a half up going through the middle sector. Here he comes out the final corner. Can he get ahead of Max Verstappen's lap time? Yes, he can. He goes up into first position. Lando Norris as well. He's in third place, and he's only 15 milliseconds behind Max Verstappen there. So the difference has got a lot smaller. However, Verstappen is on another quick lap. He's purple through the first sector. Through the middle sector he goes, and we'll see what he can do. But he is looking very, very racy indeed. Lewis Hamilton as well, currently in 9th place. He's on a decent lap, quick in the first and the second sector. And now he's going through the final chicane, and we'll see what Lewis Hamilton can do. George Russell, he is starting his flying lap, but Hamilton comes out the final corner, currently in 9th position. Across the line he goes, and it's 4th place for him. Good improvement there, and he goes ahead of his teammate by 1/10 of a second. We got Verstappen across the line as well, and he improves in the first and the final sector, but in the middle sector not quick enough, and he's in fact a 10th slower than his previous best time. So, although he got a fastest first sector and a fastest third sector, he is still a little bit too far back in the middle sector. Must have made a mistake or something along those lines. Alright, why was Verstappen so slow yesterday, but now he's quick? Must have just been some setup issues, because as soon as Verstappen came out, he did a couple of laps, and then he came over the radio saying the car is much better now. So, that kind of indicates the car wasn't that good yesterday, and it's better now. What can I say? They've changed the setup, and it's working. Alright, oh wow, we've got nearly 5,000 people watching a practice live stream. That's fantastic, folks. We're getting pretty close to 800 likes. If you haven't hit the like button, be sure to do so. And, George Russell has had a bit of a moment there. He's gone down the escape road, but spins the car around appropriately and manages to keep on going. Alright. 37 degrees track temperature. Yeah, 37 degrees track temperature isn't the hottest thing that we've seen all year long. I think Hungary was definitely hotter. Monza was hotter. Baku was probably hotter as well. So yeah, no, it's not too bad. The drivers are the tires are definitely able to handle 37 degrees. In fact, the tires are pretty happy with handling 37 degrees. All right. Thank you, MCG, for banning, for deleting those messages there. I was about to do it myself, but appreciate it. F1 Gamer, you received the silver play button? Not yet, unfortunately. The way that the YouTube system works is that you have to wait 10 days till for them to, sort of check over your channel, make sure that you haven't just bought a bunch of bots to subscribe to your channel, and it's a legit 100k, and those people are real people. And then after 10 days, you'll get an email saying, where do you want the silver play button delivered? And yeah, so it's been 6 days now, not 10. So yeah, I'll get the email next week, and it should arrive soon enough. Colapinto is on a super lap. Yeah, he's looking pretty good. A couple of purple mini sectors there for Colapinto. And he comes out the final sector now. What's it going to be against Charles Leclerc? And it's 6th place for Colapinto. Fantastic job for the rookie. And he's on a set of soft, so you'd have to take that into account. But nonetheless, things are on the up for him. And he'll probably do maybe 2 or 3 more hot laps on those sets of tyres before he comes into the pits. I think the team will have allocated that much fuel in the car. They would have put in some more fuel and sent him out to do some longer runs, really. Well, not longer runs, but essentially do quite a few hot laps on the same set of tyres. Very, very nice for Colapinto. The new blood in Formula 1 are going to shake it up. Yeah, well, Piastri, 2 seasons in Formula 1, did a fantastic drive last weekend. Colapinto, 2 races in Formula 1, and he's doing fantastically. And then, of course, we'll have Oliver Behrman next season. We'll have maybe Colapinto, maybe Bortoletto driving for Audi. Then we'll have Jack Doohan driving in the Alpine team. Lots of new drivers coming in, and it's going to be very, very exciting. And maybe Liam Lawson as well. Yeah, maybe Liam Lawson replacing Daniel Ricciardo. Oh wow, we've already broke the 800 like target. I guess that goes up to 1,500. Why not 1,500? Let's see if we can do that. But yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in. By the way, it's appreciate the support, folks. 25% of the grid will be rookies maybe next season. Yeah, there's a chance of that, which would be fantastic, really. It's always very exciting to see new rookies making their way into Formula 1. And we'll see how they perform. Right, 4,700 people tuned in. That is spectacular. We've got 25 minutes left of this session. We've got we've got half the pack in the pits. Everyone else is doing some long runs here. As you can see, Alonso, Stroll, 10 laps on those mediums. 9 laps on those mediums. Gasly as well, 10 laps on his mediums. Bottas and Zhou, 10 laps on the soft. Ocon, 11 laps on the mediums. Everyone is getting a feel for these long runs, getting a feel for the tyres, seeing how they degrade in these sort of temperature conditions so they can get an accurate race strategy for tomorrow. We've got Carlos Sainz. He is on a quick lap here. Purple in the first sector, looking very, very racy indeed, going so close to the barriers as well through turn number 9, 10 and 11. So it's looking good for Carlos Sainz, and the change of direction of this Ferrari car is looking fantastic. It's looking very, very stable under braking, under all sorts of change of directions, and Carlos Sainz is driving it very well. Onto the power he goes. He's getting just up there behind Lance Stroll. Stroll's out of the way nicely, and then we have Sainz. Hits that apex perfectly, opens the DRS flap as he goes through the middle sector now towards turn number 16, 17 and 18. Look at that middle sector from Sainz. It's slower than his personal best, in fact. Was not expecting that. It looked pretty quick, to be honest, but of course the stopwatch never lies, and Carlos Sainz across the line he comes. What's it going to be? Currently in 7th, up into 2nd. Wow, even with a slower than his personal best middle sector, he is in 2nd position and a 10th behind Leclerc. He is very close to Verstappen's time. The Ferraris are looking so quick. McLaren's might be on the back foot this weekend. McLaren's were very, very good in these high-speed circuits like Monza, like in Baku, with their mini DRS that was helping them out. But now at a slow speed circuit where the mini DRS isn't going to be helping them, we would see we may see Ferraris be the quicker team. That'd be interesting, wouldn't it? Right. Do I watch your stream or do my homework? Well, you can do your homework whenever. The stream's only going to be on for the next 20 minutes. So, yeah. Stroll used his mirrors. Yeah, Stroll did use his mirrors. He got out of the way in time. I'm sure his engineer just told him who was coming. And that's why he got out of the way, but yeah. Stroll's not doing too half bad. He's in 18th position. Just doing some long runs for the team, really. Well, look at that. Fernando Alonso, 132 on some medium tyres. Matt will be happy indeed. Yeah, Matt will definitely be happy. Leclerc's at the top of the timings in FP3, but I'm sure Matt will be a lot happier if it's in Q3 rather than FP3. All right, 4,700, fantastic. All right, what else was I going to say? Oh, yeah, if we had a look at the qualifying simulations and the race simulations that we saw yesterday, the McLaren seems to be the quickest team, alongside Ferrari, which are within a tenth of each other, and then you've got the Red Bulls and the Mercedes ever so slightly further behind. I think that Mercedes will actually be competing at the top once again. Having a look at the setup tweaks that they've made overnight, both cars look pretty stable, both in the hands of Hamilton and Russell. Now they are out on a set of soft tyres, so we will see what their soft tyre performance looks like, but the car is looking very good nonetheless, and we'll wait and see we'll wait and see if they can compete with the Ferraris and the McLarens. Or yeah, I mean, Hamilton can definitely pull out one of those spectacular laps like he did in 2018. I've got to, for any of you that weren't watching Formula 1 in 2018, Lewis Hamilton did a lap that was quicker than the simulated fastest laps on the computer. So the computer, they all in all of their simulations, they simulate all the tyre wear and all of these things and the downforce levels, and they calculate the fastest possible time that can be done in the car. And Lewis Hamilton in the qualifying session in 2018 went a tenth quicker than the simulations, which is mind-blowing because this is a computer. It never makes a mistake. It takes the optimal racing line every single time. It has perfect tyre wear and all of these things. But still, Lewis Hamilton managed to go a tenth quicker than that. Mind-blowing, to say the least. And maybe we'll see another one of those performances. Maybe we'll see it from George Russell this time. Of course, Mr. Saturday himself is never short of good qualifying performances. And look at that, purple first sector for him. Every single mini sector in the second sector he gets purple. Oh, apart from the last one there. Unfortunate, but nonetheless, purple in the first sector, purple in the second sector. He's on a fresh set of soft tyres. George Russell looks practically unstoppable here. And let's wait and see. Piastri's out on a set of softs as well. This is now the real quali simulations are coming through. And the car looks so quick, bouncing around a little bit on the circuit. But George Russell, a second and a half quicker than the Ferraris. Wow. And yeah, he's on a qualifying simulation, and I can say that for certain. We have now got Hamilton and Piastri coming across line. We'll see what they can do, but that was a spectacular lap from George Russell. All right. Wow. Well, we'll see what the Ferraris can do. Ferrari's still out on the mediums. They're doing, are they doing long runs now? I think they are, yeah. Albon, great lap from him on the soft tyres, and he goes up a 131.1. He is nearly a full second back from the Mercs. That just shows you the difference between the Williams and the Mercedes. Of course, it also shows you the difference between Russell and Albon. But I think the difference between the Williams and the Mercedes is fairly significant. And actually, maybe not. Maybe it was just Russell, because look at that difference. Russell is 0.7 of a second quicker than Hamilton. Wow. Albon comes over the radio saying, I'm out of my rhythm. So they've got to fix that. Well, Albon will fix that soon enough. But wow. And Hamilton says, my temp is too low. So Hamilton... yeah, he's got to fix some of his tyre temperature issues. I think his tyre prep wasn't optimal, and that's why he was a little bit slower than we would have expected. But wow, George Russell, 0.7 quicker than your teammate on quali runs. Fantastic. We may see 128s in quali. Yeah, maybe. I think we dipped into the 129s in FP2 yesterday, so we could definitely dip into the 128s in qualifying by the end of the session, as long as there's no rain, which potentially could fall. I'm not going to say it will fall. It's all up to the weather gods. Honestly, folks, I recommend doing a rain dance. I will also do a rain dance if you guys do one, and hopefully we can get some rain falling at the end of Q3. Oscar Piastri, however, he's in second place. He's 0.3 off the back of George Russell, but he had a massive snap of oversteer as he went through turn number 7. That curb is kind of just at the perfect height to sort of give you a massive snap of oversteer, because it's not that high that you can sort of ride on it with your outer tires. You will just go straight over it, but then when your floor touches it, it kind of lifts you up a little bit, and you lose contact with the ground beneath you, and then you get a nice bit of oversteer. So yeah, Piastri, he's gonna have to fix that on his next lap, but yeah, nonetheless, a fantastic lap from George Russell, and Piastri's not a single mistake from Russell. Piastri did make a couple of mistakes here and there. We'll wait and see what Verstappen can do. He's out now on a set of soft tyres, and we're on board with him. It looks so good. The car is very stable. Of course, Verstappen stabbing at the wheel a little bit. The car not turning as much as he would have liked. and he is still suffering from a bit of understeer. It is a lot better than it was yesterday, though, and now he goes through turn number 6. What's it going to be? A green first sector. He's 2/10 down on Russell in the first sector alone. That was a mega lap from George Russell. Verstappen, though, as he goes through the middle sector, the tyres are looking to respond a lot better than they were in the first. He's not having to put as much steering angle in, and he's not getting too much understeer, and now he's heading towards the hardest part of the circuit, turn numbers 10, 11, 12 and 13, but he navigates through there very nicely. He's millimeters away from the wall and gets onto the brakes, rotates the car at turn number 13, onto the power he goes, DRS activated as well. And his middle sector time is 3/10 down on George Russell through the middle sector, through the power once again, and the car darts around a little bit under the power. Still not perfectly stable, but an improvement that nonetheless. And then Verstappen, purple through turn number 13, so he's later on the brakes than Russell was. And just a little dab of the brakes as he flicked into the final corner. It's third place for Max Verstappen, 4/10 behind George Russell. Now, of course, we do not know the fuel loads. George Russell is going on I think he's doing a double cool down lap and then coming into the pits, or double cool down lap and then doing another lap. But yeah, look at that. Norris, a 10th up in the first sector. Very quick there from Lando Norris. We'll see what Norris can do then. All right, has he got any traffic ahead of him? One of the Astons get out of the way. Yeah, Fernando Alonso gets out of the way nicely. And Lando Norris, now we're comparing the onboards from Norris to Verstappen. And there is the inputs from Norris are much smoother. And the car is, it reacts to what Norris wants it to do. And it's very good. Russell over the radio saying, very surprised more people aren't on the softs. And I don't know why Russell is all that surprised. Well, to be fair, there's 15 minutes left of the session, so, there's still time for the drivers to do soft runs. And we've got Norris purple in the middle sector, and the McLarens are looking very quick indeed. He's 5G under braking. He slams onto those brakes as he goes into turn number 16, slowing the car down for the chicane, and then he just taps slightly off throttle as he flicks the car into turn number 17 and 18, and it is first position for Lando Norris, half a second ahead of everyone else. Wow, what a lap. And look at that, Norris, he is 7/10 quicker than Piastri. Of course, Piastri did make a couple of mistakes on his lap, but nonetheless, a sensational lap from Lando Norris, sensational lap from George Russell, and the circuit is getting quicker every single moment that every single lap that progresses. The circuit is getting faster and faster. We'll see the Ferraris come out of the pits soon enough. They're currently in the pits now. I think they're just doing some refueling, putting the cars onto sets of softs, and we should be good to go. And we'll get some Ferrari hot laps as well, and then we'll get a real feel for the pecking order. But we can't really tell. It's a pretty big surprise that the gap between first and second place is half a second. Of course, track evolution plays a role in that, but I don't know how significant it is at this point in the session. So yeah, a very good lap from Lando Norris. Alright, also folks, we're getting pretty close to 1,000 likes, so if you could hit the like button, that would be spectacular. And wow, 5.5k watching a practice live stream. That's the highest that we've ever had, so channel once again breaking records. Hit 100k last weekend, now we're breaking records for practice streams. Hopefully we can break the record for quali streams as well. Hopefully you can see all 5,000 of you tuned in to the start of quali. We'll have, of course, the usual 3 qualifying sessions with 18 minutes, 15 minutes and 12 minutes respectively, and a 5-minute break in between each one. All right. Sonoda across the line, 7th place for him, and there we go. Sainz out of the pits. He's on a set of softs. We'll see Leclerc. Yeah, Leclerc's coming out as well. Fernando Alonso, he is wrestling that Aston Martin through the final couple of corners, and he is not. Look, there is a very clear and distinct differences here between the Aston Martins and the teams at the top of the pack. If you look at the final corner, we saw Verstappen and Norris, both drivers, they ever so slightly lifted off the throttle. So rather than going 100% throttle, they go to maybe 50% throttle, and then they get back onto the power as they go through that corner. Whereas Alonso and Stroll, what are they doing? They're fully off the power. They tap the brakes ever so slightly, and then they turn into the corner. So, Well, yeah, it's quite evident, isn't it? The lack of downforce the lack of top high speed downforce in the Aston Martins compared to the other teams means that they have to lift off the throttle completely, whereas the teams at the top, they can go at 50% throttle and still make it through the corner. Don't forget, Lando Norris equaled F1 Gamers pole to win ratio. Oh, we've got a yellow flag. What's that for? Russell? Is that Russell going slowly? And he's fine. Okay. Don't forget, Lando Norris has equaled F1 Gamers pole to win ratio, the true GOAT. Oh yeah, don't worry about that. Lando Norris and me, we go way back. And I have a history of beating Lando Norris. Of course, in the pole to win record and the pole to leading the race on lap number 1, I've got a pretty similar record to Lando Norris. No, I mean that's a bit unnecessary slander on Lando Norris. Of course, it is. The McLaren hasn't been the best off the race start. The same can be said for Piastri. It's not just Lando Norris suffering from it. But yeah, Piastri's made some improvements, whereas Norris, his first laps have been compromised on occasions, to say the least. But we'll see if he can improve. Of course, there's still time for him to compete for the World Drivers' Championship. This year, it's a little bit off the cards, but next year, Norris will very much be in the fight, and we'll see what he's made of, really. Carlos Sainz through the first sector he goes, and it is a 26.6 from Lando Norris in the first sector. Carlos Sainz a 27.0 from him in the first sector. So he is he's 3/10 down in the first sector alone compared to Lando Norris. So Carlos Sainz definitely not pushing as much, but I do have a feeling he'll have some extra fuel in the car that causes him to, not be as quick. Leclerc as well. Let's have a look at what Leclerc is doing. Leclerc had a couple of purple mini sectors there, but yeah, he backed out of it. Looks like he made a mistake as he was going through turn number 5. So Carlos Sainz a minimum speed of 68 kilometers. 68 is that 68 kilometers or miles? 68 kilometers per hour as he goes through turn number 13, and then a little bit of the rear end sliding around a little bit. Wow, I really messed up those words there. The rear end slides out a little bit as he exits turn number 14. It doesn't make a mistake through 16 though, and onto the power he goes, gets ahead of K-Mag, and across the line he goes. Carlos Sainz currently in 11th position. This is his first lap on a set of softs, and it's 5th place for Carlos Sainz. 1.5 seconds, 1.1 seconds back from Lando Norris. That is a huge gap. Don't know what's been going on there. George Russell having to spin the car around at turn number 7, I think it was. Maybe there was a bit of traffic ahead of him. I think it was traffic, yeah. He was going into turn number 7. I think the traffic just off-put him a little bit. He knew he wasn't making the corner, so he decided to abort the lap. And then, yeah, he came over the radio to just say that he went straight on. All right. So, yeah. Very nice, very nice. 8 minutes and 40 seconds remain of this practice session, and we've got the Haas's still going the quickest through the speed traps. We saw this yesterday. Both Haas cars were very, very racy in the speed traps. In fact, they were the quickest through the speed traps, and I have a feeling the Haas's are trying to get a good quali position, and then they're going to try and to hold on to the lead by being quick in a straight line. That might work out for them, but of course, the spanner in the works might be that there are 4 DRS zones this weekend round. If any of you guys haven't heard, there used to be 3 DRS zones at Singapore, but now there are 4, so I'm just going to show you where they are. So of course you've got the main straight, so there's 1 DRS zone here. You've got the back straight, which has got the second DRS zone. Then you've got a DRS between turn number 13 and 14, where Norris and Colapinto are. And then you've got another DRS zone between turn number 14 and 16, where Alonso is. So 4 DRS zones on the circuit this weekend, and that's going to, spice up overtaking for sure. Norris had a great race at Singapore last season, overshadowed a little bit by a non-Red Bull win. Oh yeah, Norris did have a good race, but the thing was, Norris, I think, finished in 2nd position last year in Singapore, but the thing is, I think he would have ended up slightly lower down if it wasn't for Carlos Sainz defending. Basically, I don't know if you guys remember, last year it was, I think, Carlos Sainz, then it was Lando Norris, and then it was George Russell, and then it was Lewis Hamilton. Both of the Mercedes were on fresh tyres, and they were trying to catch up to Sainz to win the race, right? And they were significantly quicker. And the Ferrari also didn't have that much straight line speed. So they were really sitting ducks, the Ferraris were. And if Russell did catch up to them, then Russell would have overtaken and won the race. However, what Carlos Sainz did was he backed off a little bit. He backed off the throttle. He let Lando Norris get DRS. The McLaren was fairly decent in a straight line. And what that did was that because Norris had DRS, Russell didn't have the top speed difference to overtake Norris. And because Russell couldn't overtake Norris, Russell couldn't overtake Sainz, and Sainz went on to win the race. So it was great strategy from Carlos Sainz's part, and Lando Norris, in effect, got a free second position because of that, because I have a feeling if Sainz hadn't done that, then Norris would have dropped down behind Russell and behind Hamilton and probably ended up in fourth position. Of course, Russell did end up crashing as well at the end of the Singapore Grand Prix, so that was also another thing. But yeah, so we shall see. So it was definitely fantastic job from Carlos Sainz last year. Maybe he can replicate it again this year. The Ferrari looks quick. His teammate did go 0.2 of a second quicker than him. But of course, we don't know the fuel loads in the cars just as of yet. What do you think about the penalty and the FIA and the penalty for Max? I don't know if you guys have heard this, folks. We've got 5 minutes left of the session, so I'm not going to rant on about it too much. But Max Verstappen has been given community service by the FIA for saying the F word in an interview, which is quite honestly a joke, because the FIA, they race in countries with no human rights. They support gambling sponsors and nicotine and smoking sponsors. The drivers are drinking alcohol on the podiums. The drivers are risking their lives, maybe even dying, having massive crashes on TV. And they can do all of those things, and it's all right because the FIA are getting money. And then, Max Verstappen says the F word in an interview, and he's been given community service. Yeah, it's a joke, really. A huge joke. I think the community service, because I think Gunter Steiner had this as well. What happened was, I think K-Mag was given a 5-second penalty, and obviously Gunter Steiner, being the principal of Haas, was just like, oh, this is stupid. And he said that over the radio, said, oh, I don't know what the FIA are doing, it's a joke, or something along those lines. And he got reprimanded, and he had to do community service for like a future race weekend or something. I think he had to like be a race steward for like a Le Mans race or something like that. I'm not 100% certain. But it will be something along those lines. The FIA will say that Max has to oversee some event or like be a marshal or something like that. I don't know what community service there really is in Formula One, but yeah. I don't know what the Ferrari team are doing. They've brought Charles Leclerc into the pits. It seems like they're reading the pressure. They're reading their tire pressures on the car. This is something that actually changes quite often. The drivers, they go out onto the circuit at a certain tire pressure, because at a certain tire temperature, but as the tire temperature increases, the pressure also increases, and the teams just have to be wary of the fact that they want an ideal pressure at this point in the session, and for that they'll need a certain temperature, so they're just trying to correlate and gather some data on the systems and how that works. I think that's what Ferrari are doing. However, I don't know why they're doing it now, 3/4 of the way through the season, because I'm guessing the data stays the same, unless they've brought some upgrades to the wheel hubs, but Ferrari have only brought upgrades to the front wings. So I don't know. All right. Yeah, Max had community service after Brazil in 2018 as well. Yeah, he had to be a steward for a Formula E race. Yeah, because I think if you remember in 2018 Brazil, Esteban Ocon tried to overtake Max Verstappen while Verstappen lapped Ocon. Ocon was in the Force India, and Verstappen lapped him. But then Verstappen came. I think Ocon was out of the pits on super softs or something. Of course, back in 2018 we had super softs, ultra softs, hyper softs, all of those things. But what was I going to say? Oh yeah, so Ocon was trying to overtake him after he'd been lapped, and Verstappen just wasn't looking in his mirrors because he wasn't expecting it, and then he crashed, and then Verstappen pushed Ocon or something, and he got reprimanded and given community service. So who knows what will happen. But the FIA honestly have got to do something about the stewards, because their penalties are so inconsistent, and there's no, honestly, they should just have 5 stewards that steward all of the Formula 1 races in the season, and they're all trained specifically for that, and they are racers themselves, because to be honest, I don't see the point of having a steward that's never taken part in the sport themselves, especially motorsport, where it is there are only certain things that you can understand, like the level that you can see, the amount of visibility that you have from a cockpit, and the amount of grip that you have by driving over grass, and all of these other things. They're all contextual information that you can only get by being a racing driver. So I have a feeling that they should have, a certain number of stewards that steward every single Grand Prix, and they themselves are racers, and they know what it's like to drive these cars. And yeah, but that's a whole another discussion. I could make a video about that. In fact, folks, I have a video on my channel. There's only one video on my channel, if you ignore all of the live streams, and it's about all of the F1 engines throughout history. So it's got the V12s, the V10s, the V8s, of course the V6 hybrids as well. But honestly, I recommend you guys listen to that video. The V10s sound absolutely spectacular. The V8s as well. They sound brilliant. And I would really recommend you guys have a listen to that video, because you guys will realize what we're missing out on in terms of engine sounds. Yeah, I mean, if the FIA could mandate a certain type of exhaust, then they could have certain exhaust notes, because you could have a good sounding exhaust, and the FIA could mandate an exhaust that sounds good, and that would be pretty cool. But we'll just have to wait and see. But however, folks, this is the end of the session. There are 6 seconds left. The drivers now just doing their final runs. They'll be going to the grid, doing their grid starts, getting a feel for the clutch settings and things like that. But that's about it for the end of the session. Qualifying will be starting in 2.5 hours' time. The stream for qualifying will be starting in 2 hours' time. And yeah, so that's it. So I'll see you in 2.5 hours, or in 2 hours, for the start of qualifying. Thank you everyone for tuning in. It's been a pleasure commentating to you guys. And one thing that I would ask you guys to do is, if you could please go onto the qualifying stream and hit the like button. So when this stream ends, it will take you over to the qualifying stream. So if you guys could just click the like button, click the reminder button, it massively helps out the channel. But that is it from me, and I'll see you for qualifying in 2 hours' time. All right, cheers, fellas. Well, cheers, ladies and gentlemen. Not just fellas, but what was I going to say? Oh yeah, no, that's it. See you in 2.5 hours' time. Oh no, it's 2. Anyway, yeah. See you later, guys, and yeah, hit the like button for the quali stream.